Hello and welcome back to another episode of Ball Around the Head. And since we last left off, there was a humongous shift in the NBA Association. If you haven't heard yet, there was a blockbuster trade. James Harden got traded to the Brooklyn Nets. If you guys want to know the full trade details, the Pacers got Karis LeVert, cash, which was $2.6 million, if for those who care. 2 seconds. The Nets got just James Harden. The Rockets got Victor Oladipo, Rodion Kurucs, Dante Exum, 4 pick swaps in 2021, 2023, 2025, and 2027. A 2022 unprotected Milwaukee first, and then unprotected picks from Brooklyn in 2022, 2024, and 2026. Yeah, and then the Cavs got Taurean Prince and Jared Allen, and yeah, that was the full trade. So I'm gonna ask you guys straightforward. Ben, who were the winners and losers of this trade?
So the winners, James Harden obviously is a winner because he wanted to get out of there. The Nets are obviously a winner because, they have 3 of the most talented players in basketball now. Definitely a win now move. And so obviously what they wanted to do. The Rockets locker room is a winner because you got somebody who did not want to be there, who, according to DeMarcus Cousins, was just dragging everyone down to begin with, who wasn't even in there 100%, and yet you still had to treat him like he's the lead guy there. He's out of there. So the Rockets locker room's feeling better. And the Rockets' future is also a winner because you listed off those draft picks. 4 future first round pick swaps, and I think a second round. Like, wow, you're almost competing with the Thunder in terms of those that pick stash.
Mm-hmm.
The losers, not Kyrie Irving, but Kyrie Irving's usage rate is a loser of this trade because you have. I think he wants to win despite all the conflict. Championships. Yeah. Championships cure a lot of that stuff, but I think Harden is definitely going to be eating into his usage, and it's going to be an adjustment for him. Another loser is Jared Allen, because not only is he on a much worse team, but he still has to compete with a center and Andre Drummond, so he didn't really improve his position in a rotation or anything. And also the Sixers are a loser in this deal because they felt like they had the deal. They were coming close to a deal with the Rockets and maybe could have got Harden, but it didn't work out.
All right.
Well, I'm going to have to disagree with you right off the bat because I thought that the winners of this was the 76ers because they didn't get James Harden, which I like. I'm a huge fan of James Harden when he was on the Thunder, because when he was on the Rockets, I think his play style just developed into such a selfish, one-off sort of play style, which reminds me a lot of certain high school players I used to play with. No shade intended, but like as Eric Gordon over here trying to ball out, I was, no, I'm just joking, but I think that 76ers were very close, but again, the GM was literally just the Rockets, and there was no way that was ever going to happen. So I think now that they know that Ben Simmons is going to stay, the Sixers are definitely a threat in the East because I just don't. The Nets are huge, and I have them as getting to the finals. But it could blow out. It's thin ice. It's on thin ice is how I'd say it. I think Ben said it perfectly about winners, losers, everybody else.
Yeah, you'd agree with every other loser and winner?
Yeah, except for Karis LeVert. Is he injured or what's the deal? Because
no, prayers up to him. They said he has they found a mass on his kidney. So in a way, thank God he got traded. That they found that, because if he wasn't traded, they would never found that. So hopefully he heals quickly. But yeah.
Do you think he'll play? Because I'm considering. Sorry.
Wait, Ben, what'd you say?
Oh, I was just saying. So the physical is the only reason they found that then.
Yeah. That's why the Pacers got an additional second-round pick in cash because of the physical. I don't know. They said he's going to be out indefinitely, so I'm not sure what. I think he will play. Hopefully, we'll pray that he comes back, but I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what happens there.
Like, what do you think? Because should, as a fantasy, if I have my fantasy team, should I drop him? Should I trade him? Do you think people will be willing to trade?
I don't know. I can't give you an answer. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he's going to potentially opt out because of the virus and if that can mess him up because it's a lung issue. I don't know.
It's a kidney issue.
It is a kidney.
I feel like the kidney and the lung are two different.
No. You're right. My bad.
No, but I get you. Okay, I'll wait a week. I'll wait a week.
So not to self-promote, but I wrote an article on this actually, and I broke down the point of view from every team. My winners, I have two of them, are the Rockets, not the Rockets. What's their name? The Pacers. This is before I found out Karis LeVert, and the Cavaliers. And the reason I like that Cavaliers point of view, they basically traded a Milwaukee pick that it's going to be top 25, like it's going to be in the 25-30 range. It's not going to be important. And I think a second and Dante Exum, who they barely used, for a very good center in Jared Allen, and Taurean Prince, who when he was on the Hawks, he was very good, and then he went to Brooklyn and he was not good at all. So he could be a good bounce back piece. So I like what they did. They basically gave up nothing and got kind of a bit in return. As Ben said, there's kind of that log jam in the front court. Not sure how they're going to do that. I'm pretty sure they're going to trade JaVale McGee eventually or release him like a buyout. I feel like he's obviously the most one to go. The Andre Drummond is playing very good this season, so I think McGee's an odd man out.
Yeah, I mean he looks so cool in the Cavs jersey. I was gonna get one of the Cavs jerseys because JaVale McGee is my favorite player. I'm waiting on it. I want a Lakers one, but I'm waiting. You think he'll get traded? Hold out on the jersey
for Jared Allen?
No, for JaVale McGee.
I would not buy JaVale McGee jersey. I would not. I don't think he's going to last the full season.
Okay, for Cavs, I was like.
My other winner was, like I said, the Pacers. The reason I said that, because they basically got rid of Victor Oladipo for Karis LeVert, who's younger. They kind of play the exact same. Oladipo hasn't gone back to his All-NBA season. I don't think he made an All-NBA team. He was All-Star season. He hasn't gone back to that yet. But it was a low cost and honestly a really good trade for them. My loser, I kind of have Kyrie Irving as well because, like Ben said, like he's probably going to adapt. I think it's kind of overblown that he's on his own world. He's doing his own thing right now. That's a whole conversation for another time. But I think he is willing to win a championship right now. I know he wanted to be the number one star, then he wanted to play with his best friend, and now he's back on a super team. So same with Kevin Durant. He wanted to prove himself. And then
what do you mean back on a super team? Kyrie Irving has never been on a super team.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay.
And another loser, a little controversial, I have the Rockets because they were saying this entire time, we need a young star and a lot of picks. And I can promise you that Victor Oladipo is not a young star. Those Brooklyn picks for at least the next 2-3 years are going to be in the 25-30 range, so they're not going to be good. In the future, those could be very good picks. Turn out to be another Boston-Brooklyn trade. But what the Rockets got, they said they wanted a young star. Ben Simmons was reportedly offered. Some people were saying he was. Some people say he wasn't. If he was, I would have taken that. There's some reports that they asked for like him, Thibault, and Maxey, which is kind of a lot, which is probably why the Sixers said no.
Trade Matisse Thibault. Get him out.
But just for Simmons, like I don't know. I was surprised that they didn't get a young star. They got financial flexibility, which is what the owner wants. He's a very cheap owner, which is a lot of Rocket fans don't like him because he doesn't like to spend on this team. But yeah, the Nets, I have them not as a winner or a loser because you see what's happening off the field. I mean, you saw what happened with Harden. You saw what happened with Irving. You don't know what they're capable of. Talent-wise, they're very good, but I don't know. I got to wait and see before I declare them a winner or loser. If they win a championship in the next 2 years, then they're a winner from this trade. If they don't, they're going to be a loser. So I'm going to wait and see on that one.
I feel like with the package the Rockets got, I feel like it's realistic. I mean, you're not going to get much more realistic than what they got after, Harden basically screamed to the entire association, "Get me out of here or I'm not playing." Like everyone knows he has to be traded. So what they got is, I think, pretty good for that.
Yeah, I think
Simmons is not someone that fits in with that organization's style.
I'm just saying, like
But
you said, it is a good trade. Like I get why they did it, but I think they should have got a young star because not a lot. Harden's an MVP candidate year in and year out. He leads the league in scoring every single year. So you're probably not gonna like. I don't know. You're not gonna replace him for a while. I don't think any of those picks are gonna replace him for the next 4 or 5 years. And kind of what Anthony touched on, like why didn't the Sixers accept that package? Because their defense kind of would be like what Brooklyn's defense is now, horrible. Those three people, well, two, Tybal and Simmons are their best perimeter defenders. Danny Green, and he's old. So I think that's probably why. And those are some young players that the Sixers don't want to lose. And also, there was a report that the Rockets owner didn't want to trade with him. So I'm guessing the GM was asking for those three and then probably the same amount of picks that they just got. So that's probably why the Sixers didn't get a trade for that. So, yeah. Enough on that. Well, not really. We're still going to talk about the Harden trade. Controversially, which is probably the main reason why this trade went down. Harden had a press conference after the Lakers embarrassed the Rockets in 2 straight games. LeBron hit that very disrespectful 3 in their face. That was legendary. And people are saying that literally broke the Rockets. Hard to argue that. But after that, the post-game press conference, he said something in the likes of, that the Rockets are just not good enough. I love this city. I literally have done everything that I can. I mean, the situation is crazy. It's something that I don't think can be fixed. And then less than 24 hours later, he was traded. So, guys, were Harden's not good enough comments a catalyst for this trade? Andrew, what you got?
Well, I don't know what a catalyst is, but I do know that those comments resulted in his trade. I mean, it was no secret that he wanted out. And I think it's just more... that's probably getting to the power of what NBA players are allowed to say. In the future, is an NBA superstar like James Harden allowed to say that he wants to leave in public? But I think it was pretty lucky that they got this trade. And imagine if they haven't traded him yet, would it be like Anthony Davis, how he would just sit on the bench, which I would argue is handled better than James Harden's whole thing. But Anthony Davis 2 years ago when he just refused to play. Or didn't play. I don't know if it was refused to play, but yeah, as far as NBA players just commenting to the media, I think James Harden, that was a bit overboard. But at the end of the day, he got traded. He's in with his homie KD. He's like a superstar now. I mean, 30-point triple-double on this first game as a Rocket. If I had James Harden on fantasy, I'd go crazy. Good thing I didn't even play against him. I didn't play against whoever has him in our league, but lucky me. So, yeah, James Harden's comments probably did result in his trade. Yeah.
Ben?
Yeah, I mean, to his credit, if he wanted to get out, that's exactly what those comments did. I mean, it's hard to look at it another way, seeing he got traded like a day after, and he just announced to the whole league that I don't want to be here anymore. But I want to point out that saying that I've done everything I can is the biggest lie I've ever heard. We're talking about a guy who leads the league in scoring for the past couple years, and he's the guy on that team. There's no other star. And then he puts up 21 points or less in 5 straight games.
His lowest since his 2012 season, which I think was his rookie season. It was bad.
Yeah, he's not doing everything he can. He's just checked out. He just doesn't want to be there anymore.
I think he's referring to the past, that he's done everything he can. Not necessarily this season.
To that point, though, I love what Shaq said. Shaq's like, no, you didn't. They gave him Dwight Howard when he asked for him. They gave him Chris Paul when they asked for him. They gave him Russell Westbrook. They literally got rid of 4 picks for Russell Westbrook for 1 year, and he never delivered. In the playoffs, he's known for choking, and he choked. Well, choked to an extent. So
choked on his beard.
Shaq went in on him. It was very cool to see, and Shaq was right. They gave him what he wanted. He didn't deliver. So it's kind of true, kind of not, but continue, Ben.
Yeah, wait, real quick. Go back to go back to the summer, or go back to off season. I definitely called that. Yeah, so Shaquille O'Neal and I, we're good buddies.
What did you call exactly?
What he was talking about, Chris Paul and Russell, that James Harden was the whole time that never could deliver, and that Dwight Howard, Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook. Yep. I'm just a good analyst. That's what I'm saying. Shaquille O'Neal and I.
Yeah.
All right, Ben.
I was just basically gonna say that those comments kind of put a sour taste in my mouth. Like, he just disrespecting the whole team. Like, I understand you want out of there and you want to win, but just even like Boogie said, he's been disrespecting them the whole time, saying everyone's not good enough. Like, come on, man. You don't have to go that far saying that stuff to the media, but whatever. It'll be fun to watch in Brooklyn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I found it funny when in his introductory press conference for the Nets, he said that he didn't disrespect the team in any way in these past couple months, which was completely false. He literally said this team was not good enough to compete. I want out. I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
And then like I love like what you said, like John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins, like, okay, we don't want you. DeMarcus Cousins said, I didn't come here to play with you. I came here to play with John Wall. And John Wall's like, all right, I don't go. See ya. And they
Wasn't he
didn't
traded to Houston, by the way?
what?
Wasn't he traded to Houston?
James
Boogie
Harden?
Cousins. Boogie Cousins.
No, he signed.
Oh, really? Never mind.
Anyways, back to the question. No. I mean, yes, it was a catalyst, but it was it was just not cool the way he did it. Like you guys said, I'm surprised they got the package that they did because of like him saying I want out, and then they're like, oh fine, we'll trade you, and they still got a huge haul out of it. When other teams couldn't use this as like, oh, he wants out, like I could give you a little less picks. You can deal with the toxic environment this entire season. I'm surprised that the Nets just said, or maybe the Nets just see that they're struggling so far and they're like, okay, here you go. We'll give you what you want. We need him. Who knows what's happening with Kyrie? That's what some rumors were. They didn't know what's going to happen with Kyrie, so they needed to get insurance. And KD and Kyrie really wanted him. So if your stars want a player, you're going to get that player.
Yeah, Kyrie wanted him. That is fine.
But yeah, this was definitely a catalyst, but the way he handled it was just not cool. Poor Steven Silas first season, he had to walk into all of this when he was told, I think he said himself that Westbrook and Harden wanted him to be their coach, and both of them are not even on the same coast anymore. So there's been some discussion on Twitter that this could be potentially the best big three of all time. Ben, how does this Brooklyn big three compare to other big threes of the past?
As far as individual talent, I would agree with that. It's the best collection of three guys in terms of where they are in their career and individual talent that I've seen in my lifetime. But in terms of the fit, I don't know. I mean, obviously we're going to have to see because they've played one game together, not even one game with all three of them together. But just looking ahead, I have, chemistry questions about, who's going to get the ball. That's always a question on a James Harden team. But then you throw in the best ball handler in the league, arguably in Kyrie, and you're like, how are those two guys going to work together? So with the fit, I don't know. I project them to be like in that conversation, but are they as good as KD and the Splash Bros? Probably not. Bron, Wade, and Bosch? Probably not. I don't know. I think they're going to be close in that conversation, but as far as the fit, I don't see them being that good yet.
All right, Andrew?
Yeah. I don't see. I mean, I think that this is probably the best collection of talent in a big three, arguably. But as far as chemistry and performance, I don't think it's close to the best big three. I mean, Manu Ginobili, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, I'd say is the best big three. Again, you mentioned LeBron, Wade, and Bosch. I don't even like the Celtics, but Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen. Michael Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman. There's a lot of other big threes. Kobe, Shaq, Nick Van Exel. There's a lot. I don't even know who Nick Van Exel is. I don't even know if he played with him. But I think he was number 9 for the Lakers. He played with them. But any other big threes I could name? The Celtics big three: Larry Bird and Kevin McHale and one other person. I don't know, but yeah, I don't think this is the best big three. But again, talent-wise, I mean, all scorers. So
I think we're all in agreement. I think talent-wise, they're very good, but fit wise and chemistry wise, I'm not sure I'd put them up there. I already said, I mentioned briefly a little while ago that you've seen the chemistry issues, not the chemistry, the off-court issues with Harden this year, with Kyrie in the past like 3-4 years. KD has his off-court incidents every once in a while, fighting with the fan on Twitter. Those like dumb things. And then fit-wise, it kind of like Curry, Thompson, and Durant, you really didn't question the fit. Thompson's that spot-up shooter. Curry was, some people argued Curry or Durant, who do you want taking the last shot, but they gelled really good. Like, they didn't really care. They still put up great stats. This team, Harden's probably want the game-winning shot. Kyrie's going to want the game-winning shot, and Kevin Durant's going to want the game-winning shot. I'm not sure how they're going to do that. Like Ben said, they've yet to play a game, so we can't really judge too early. But they did play without Kyrie, and my biggest thing about them is like their defense. I'm not going to discuss that right now because we're talking about that next question. But I'm going to go in on their defense next question. But this big three, talent-wise, I think that's definitely up there. But I have to say, like, including chemistry and fit, probably the Warriors, the Celtics, and even the Heat probably top their big three. So that's how I feel about that. I think we all agreed on that. So I guess the biggest question left for this is a lot of people are wondering, since they got this superstar, are they the title favorite now? Andrew, do you think they are?
No, I still think it's the Lakers because they're defending the title. I always think the defending champions, which I wouldn't count the Raptors really because Kawhi left in recent years, are the best. Yeah, are the best team in the NBA. If your Finals MVP doesn't leave, they're the best. You're probably still the best team in the NBA. So I think the Lakers are still the title favorites. The Nets are definitely increased with James Harden. I would still put I put the Nets on the top of the East. It's Lakers or Nets, in my opinion.
All right.
Yeah, I'd say second is where I'd have them finishing. Man, I'm a Lakers fan. I can't say that I think the Nets are going to win the championship over them. The Lakers look really good. They have the best record in the league right now. We've talked about how they've added some great pieces, 2 6 Man of the Year candidates. And yeah, I can't say that the Nets are a favorite when I don't know how their stars are going to play together. Like, still all those questions that we were just talking about. We don't know how that's going to work out. So,
I'm gonna say no. I can still see a team like Milwaukee, Boston, and a bunch of other teams probably trump them. I feel like, and I was gonna say I'm gonna go in on their defense. I'm gonna do that right now. Their defense is horrible. They have Kevin Durant's the only decent defender. Kyrie is when he wants to be. Harden, DeAndre Jordan's way past his prime. And then there's like Jeff Green and Landry Shamet who are not good defenders. So I don't think they're a good team. I don't think they're going to win the championship.
Is Joe Harris a good defender?
He's underrated. He's not an elite defender, but he's serviceable. But they just don't have a big man depth. They gave up like 115 points to the Magic, who are one of the worst offensive teams in the league. Yes, Kyrie wasn't there, so who knows if that makes a difference. But they need a big man who can defend big time. DeAndre Jordan's not a championship center. Right now, as they're currently constructed, I do not think they're going to win the championship. I have like probably the Clippers, the Lakers, obviously. I think the Lakers are the clear-cut favorites so far. They're just cruising through this regular season. The Celtics, the Bucks, I feel like those people are near, like the Celtics, Bucks, and Nets, I think they're in the same category. But yeah, I don't think they're clear-cut title favorites now. I just got to see how they gel together. So Leo, what's up? I see your comment. So in this trade, it was a 4-team trade. There were the Rockets, the Nets, the Cavaliers, and the Pacers. The Nets got just James Harden. They got James Harden because they really needed him, and he's best friends with 2 of the star players. The Cavaliers were in the trade, your favorite team. They got Jared Allen and Taurean Prince. It's a very good trade on their behalf. They got a good young center.
They have 30. They literally have an entire starting team of centers now. They have 5 centers.
They got a good young wing who could very well go back to his good old days. The Pacers were in the trade. They got Karis LeVert, who was a younger version of the guy they traded, which was Victor Oladipo to the Rockets, who they got. What did I just say? Victor Oladipo, Rodions Kurucs, who was a not really good player. Dante Exum, same thing. And they got a bunch of picks. And the reason they did that is because they got rid of a lot of picks. And they need ammo for the future if they want to do a good trade like this again. So,
and if they need to get the Rockets got picks, I'm getting 2025. I'm coming to the Rockets. That's why they got their picks.
But yeah, so if you want, actually, you told me earlier to self-promote. You can go on peach-basket.net and you can see my article on the trade. I broke it down word for word. It was a pretty cool article. So if you want to check that out, you could text me or something. I'll give you it. Anyways, so yeah, we're done talking about the Brooklyn trade. It was a huge blockbuster trade. It's be interesting to see what happens to the trade market from now on because there's not really like that big star. People are rumoring Bradley Beal. It doesn't seem like he's to be traded. It looks like he wants to be traded. So it's be interesting to see what happens at the trade deadline. There's going to be moves, but probably
Cavaliers are definitely going to be trading some of their centers. I feel like Larry Nance Jr., who I have on my fantasy team, who I picked up out of the blue, and he's definitely gotten me points. He'll get traded, I think, because Jared Allen is that center of the future for the Cavaliers. So.
Yeah,
and Pacers might trade.
Another name that's been floated around was PJ Tucker. He's been discussed that he could potentially be traded. I think it's almost a guarantee they're going to trade him. And a bunch of teams are going to try to trade for him because he's a good 3-point shooter in the corner, great gritty defender. He'd be perfect fit on a bunch of these teams. So a bunch of teams are going to be calling. So yeah, it's been interesting.
He might join the Nets. What if he joins the Nets?
I would not put money on that one.
Do you think that the Rockets teammates are done with Harden?
Yeah,
like they wouldn't want to join the Nets, or if
I feel like a bunch of them were just tired of what he said. That's why they had to trade him immediately because they just didn't want to see him again. It just wasn't cool what he did. So, yeah. So another big NBA topic that's not so involving trades is something that Giannis was asked about the other day. Was his free throw shooting? It's horrible, and for a star of his caliber, it shouldn't be this bad. I get LeBron isn't the best free throw shooter, but he's decent. He's like a 70%. That's solid. Giannis is not that. So, Ben, is Giannis's free throw shooting a concern?
I think it is. It's a weird case because in 2016 he had over 70% free throw shooting, and it's gone down every single year since then. It's now at 57.5% this season. One of the big reasons we're talking about this is he just had a game where he went 1 for 10 from the line, and they almost lost because of it. So I think it's a big deal for him. Like he's the MVP of the past 2 years, and then all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden because his free throw shooting's been going down, but this is one of those things where you can point to him and you can blame him for as someone who thinks, well, the Bucks, they keep not making it to the finals. They keep not living up to expectations in the playoffs. And this is one of those things where it's like, okay, maybe this is one of their major flaws is that you have a star who can't shoot free throws in the clutch. And it kind of seems mental at this point because I don't know how you have a 1 for 10 free throw shooting game. Like you can tell it's kind of getting in his head at this point. So I don't know. He's got a lot of time to figure it out, and I think he will to some extent at least. But I think it's a concern for now.
All right, Andrew.
Well, I just don't. I mean, it is a concern because again, you mentioned it's been going down, but Giannis is just probably focusing on not shooting free throws. I know Shaquille O'Neal was never good at shooting free throws, and it didn't stop him from racking up points and leading his team to victory, which is all that really matters. I mean, it's just it'd be nice if he can shoot his free throws. Looking at his points, like they've noticeably dropped actually. Yeah, okay. But again, I mean, like you mentioned, 2016, he's averaging a lot more points because he's just learned to attack the basket regardless of making a free throw. It's not about he's not like James Harden where he attacks the basket to shoot free throws. He attacks the basket to get points, and he ends up shooting free throws because they have to stop him by fouling him. So it's just focusing on his ability to score. Probably getting too much muscle to shoot free throws. I have that same problem.
So to that point, though, since he can't, since he drives to the basket all the time to score, the teams are just going to hack him. They're going to say, "All right, shoot for 2 free throws. I'd rather have you do that than have an easy dunk." I have the stats here actually. I'm not going to go all the way to his beginning of his career, but I'm starting 2017. He shot 77% on 7.7 free throws, and then 2018 went to 76% on 8.5, and then 2019 it went to 72 on 9.5, and then in 2020 it dropped to 63 on 10 free throws, and then this year it's at 57% on 10 free throws. That's horrible. And you can see there's a video that circled around the internet over the offseason of like his rookie year. He could shoot the ball well. He had a decent stroke, but then he gained all that muscle. He got big and like his shot just changed. He just has a different jumper, and that you can see. And Ben said it's half mental and it's just half physical. Like he doesn't seem like he's a good free throw shooter, and it's in his head now. He told people like, "Oh, I'm working so hard. I had drills. I did this." And it's obviously in his mind.
He made his wife run. Have you heard that? How he was like, he's like, I have other people do the exercises when I miss. And he literally made his wife run with his child, laps around the gym. Oh my goodness. Nice free throw, dude.
But yeah, so is it a concern? A little bit. If you're driving the basket and getting as fouled as 10 free throw attempts per game, you better not hit them at a 57% rate. You got to be hitting your free throws. So I'd be concerned. It's dropped down a lot in these previous years. So I don't know. So kind of what we discussed last week. We're going to end this podcast on this week. The games are still being postponed. There's a bunch of games being postponed. The Wizards, I believe, have 7 or 6 positive tests in their organization, or players positive test. The Suns have an outbreak. The Sixers had to have their postponed game due to contract tracing. Jonas Valanciunas is rumored to have contracted the virus as well. And a bunch of these games are getting postponed. People are just spamming on the Twitter mentions, suspend the season, cancel the season, this, that. So, Andrew, what should the league do?
Well, I think they obviously were preparing for postponements. I think it's just they're going to finish the season no matter what. I mean, I can't say that. Shoot, knock on wood. But I feel like the plan is to finish the season no matter what, no matter how long it takes, which is seen by last year. I have a feeling they might go to a playoff bubble, but maybe adjust the games to where it's 5. Kind of like the WNBA, that might be cool. Because I think a NBA playoff bubble really is the best way to do the playoffs from now on during this pandemic times. And I also feel like they'll reschedule the games when they reschedule the games in the second half of the season. So it's just you got to grind out the ones you can now. Maybe they should do like every X amount of games, the team does like a 2-week quarantine, which would probably they'll be able to spend time with their families for 2 weeks, because then when they go out to games and they're bubbled off, maybe they can't really be like, I miss my family. Well, you just quarantine with them for 2 weeks. So there's maybe ways around it. Again, I don't work for the NBA, so I don't know, but
All right, Ben.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, the more I think about it, it's like basketball kind of needs a bubble in this pandemic. Like, it's different from other sports. Like, the rosters are so much smaller, and you need so many more players on a nightly basis to participate in order to have a game function, have the league be balanced and fair and function well. So honestly, I don't have many answers at this point. You could have a postponement soon, and it looks like that might be what they have to do, is, like Daniel said last stream, take a couple weeks off and get everybody healthy. But that's not going to fix it long term. And I remember Andrew saying last stream that they might, that's not safe. That's not a guaranteed safety. They might, like you said, KD, I think, got it from someone not within the NBA, and like they can't. It's not just the people in the NBA that they're getting it from. They're getting it from, whoever they're hanging around. So there's no simple fix.
Yeah. I already, like you said, I already voiced my thoughts on this last week. I think they should do that. But I've heard some sources inside the league that they have absolutely no plans on postponing the season, mainly because they want this to finish before the Olympics, and they're trying to grind through the season. They scheduled for these postponements at the same time because they split the season into two halves. One, they gave you the schedule. If those games were postponed, they're going to give you like probably a bunch of back-to-backs in the second one. So
Yeah, back to
is
back
that
for
fair?
sure.
Maybe, maybe not. Like Andrew said last week, if they do a 2-week postponement, that's probably not going to fix that much. They're going to test positive. They knew it was going to happen. As for the playoffs, I love that idea, but there's a thing. I think the NBA PA president said there's absolutely no way these players want to go back in the bubble. They don't want to do it. So I don't think the PA is going to surrender to that. So I think they're going to. I think they should do what baseball did: finish the regular season and then go to, like Andrew said, a postseason bubble. I think that's the safest way, so we could definitely get a champion. But I don't think that the NBA is wanting to do that. Silver, he's a smart guy. He's in charge of this league for a reason. He has some plan. What is it? I don't know, because these postponements keep on happening. Breakouts are happening even worse now. It's interesting to see what's going to happen. It's very interesting. I'd be very stunned if they cancel this season. I don't think there's a chance. You saw football, baseball, they all had outbreaks. Hockey currently has one right now. They're going to have outbreaks. It's the virus. It's getting really deadly right now. It's contagious, really bad because the holidays. So that's why everyone's getting it. The NBA is no exception. So it's be very interesting to see what they do. I would not be surprised if they just push through it, though. I think that's what Silver's trying to do. So that's all we got. Thank you guys for the very lively conversations in the chat. I appreciate the support. Shout out to Leo for being in this chat like 15 minutes prior to the stream. I really appreciate it. That was pretty cool. Thank you guys for your support on the podcast as well. If you're listening to this on a podcast, make sure to like and subscribe on the YouTube as well. Leave a comment for any suggestions that we could change further. Yeah, that's all I have. And I will see you guys next week with another stream at Sunday at 8 o'clock. So please be there. Peace.
Blake is back to back.